Record on this computer. Hi. Okay, here we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast dedicated to creating awareness of the facts that we are wired biologically to cause our well-being when we contribute to others and to the betterment of the human condition. My personal mission with a group of dedicated volunteers who share that mission is to enlighten children, individuals, and organizations to the value of our satisfaction operating system, a way of generating happiness, joy, and satisfaction on demand. Our website spells out our effort, and you can get more information by going to Cattaruzza.com. And please learn more about this and help us spread the word. There are many professional individuals and organizations that are incorporating this knowledge into their practice, the likes of Deepak Chopra, Oprah, Eckhart Tolle, and many others who have realized how valuable this scientific information actually is. I'll be recording these individuals with influencers, doctors, and scientists as we continue with our effort. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to someone who I have quoted in my website 5 years ago. I also read her book, Be Kinder, very informative, and I recommend, here it is, if you could see it, recommend you to order it, a copy on Amazon. That's where I got mine anyway. Is there anywhere else? We'll find out if there's any other place that it can be purchased, but I'm sure Amazon is convenient. So I'm so delighted that she was willing to meet with me and record this session of what I know is very important information for all of us to understand the facts about our biology and kindness. So Dr. Eva Ritvo is a psychiatrist with over 25 years of experience practicing in Miami Beach. She is the founder of Be Kinder, a movement to foster more kindness in the world. She is also the co-founder of the Bold Beauty Project, a not-for-profit that pairs women with disabilities with award-winning photographers and creates art shows. So she is on the board of the United Cerebral Palsy Foundation, which was recently renamed United Community Options. In 2015, she was recognized as their National Volunteer of the Year. Dr. Ritvo received her undergraduate medical degree from UCLA and completed her psychiatry residency training at Weill Cornell Medicine. While Cornell Medicine, she is the mother of 2 wonderful daughters. So welcome.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you for that nice introduction.
Dr. Ritvo, or should I call you Eva?
Call me Dr. Eva. It's sort of a compromise.
Dr. Eva, that's a wonderful one. Okay, so to get into this, I think it's really important to end a very critical question, which is, what happens to us biologically when we are kind?
Well, when we are kind to one another, a whole cascade of different things happen. But we release certain chemicals in our brain that then transmit throughout our body, which make us feel better, sometimes calmer, sometimes happier, and more connected.
Okay. Are these chemicals any particular chemicals? I know that the conversation out there is oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. Are these what we're talking about?
You're naming them correctly. The brain has a lot of those receptors, and they're also throughout the body. So when you release them, you get effects on your mood, but also throughout your body. And the different ones you've mentioned have different effects. But oxytocin is the one that's connected with bonding. And we think of oxytocin when we think of bonding. So when we think of kindness, we think of that human connection, that bonding. As we say humankind, mankind, it's right in our name. And so when we're kind to somebody, we release oxytocin, and that has benefits throughout our body, including lowering our blood pressure, speeding wound healing, making us feel better, making us trust more easily, and making us feel connected to people. I had a powerful example of that myself the other day. I received my first dose of the Moderna vaccine, and my daughter came over and spent the evening with me, and I felt great. We went for a walk, we had dinner, we had a lovely time. She left, and I got into bed, and then I realized, oh, everything hurts, which you hear about, but it was very, very significant that when she was here and I felt safe and connected and loved,
Yeah.
nothing was really hurting me. Then I'm into my bed and it's dark and it's, nighttime. And I think, oh man, I don't feel good.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes you can experience that power of connection just so physically yourself. And then you can look for the flip side of that coin, which is when you do something kind for somebody, you can check in with yourself and you can see how you feel. So this is not something academic that you need to read in a book, although you can, but you can really become aware. That's the whole idea of mindfulness.
that's a
And
good word.
yeah, seeing how you feel in certain situations. But when we're kind to people, we will notice that we actually feel better.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just got the COVID virus, the vaccine, that is yesterday.
Oh,
Yesterday,
vaccine. Okay. I thought you said virus.
the vaccine, not the virus, the vaccine. And it took a day, overnight. I felt a little pain, a little this, a little that. But I mean, I think I was so blessed that the hospital contacted me, that it's actually a children's hospital that I volunteer in. And they said, come on down, the volunteers need to get this vaccine. So I was there and I was so happy about it. But
That's a great story because you go to the children's hospital because of kindness, the kindness in your heart to go take care of these children. And yet here you are in a pandemic. And what helped you was kindness.
that's right.
That kindness came
Well,
back
you
to
could
you.
look at it that way. Yeah,
Well,
but
that
it's history, how everything connects.
But that is the way to look at it. And that's vitally important. For myself, I thought it was a little ironic because I've been at two major institutions like yourself for years. And I contacted them and they said, not yet, not yet. And then a very kind girlfriend of mine found a church that was giving vaccines to medical personnel on just one day, on Sunday. So her kindness was to reach out and let me know. And then we went together and we said, well, we better start praying as soon as we get here. And we were so excited to get our vaccine. I feel like I can't even keep my feet on the ground. I'm so excited.
So it happened to me yesterday as well, on Sunday.
Just wait, you're going to see, like in 2 weeks, you're going to be like feeling so good.
It means, by the way, that on Valentine's Day is when we get our a second shot.
That's mine too. You go Valentine's Day?
Yes, yes.
Must have gotten Pfizer.
Pfizer, that's what I got.
How funny that you're going on Valentine's Day and I'm going on Valentine's Day, Lou.
I know this whole thing is a little bit bizarre and I love it. I love every bit of it. So let me continue here. Let me ask you this question. So can you be too kind?
Absolutely. You can be too kind. So in here, I have a chapter called Too Much Kindness, and I gave the example of my nephew. And if you've already read that book, I'll give you a different example. So I'll give you a new example because my super kind nephew, because he's a big proponent of the Be Kinder. The other day he got a text that said, hey, listen, I'm in a bit of a jam and could you Venmo me $195? I'll explain later. So from one of his friends, my daughter got the same text and my daughter immediately knew that this was a scam. So she texted my nephew and said, don't send it. And he said, too late, I already sent it. So that is yet another. I said, didn't you read the book? We already talked about you and Too Much Kindness. Read the book. That's an example of too much kindness. And so we do have to understand that there are people who will take advantage of other people and they will come to us and ask for things and we don't have to say yes.
Sometimes I think there's absolutely a reason to understand that. For me, what I understand is I really can tell the difference in my life since I've gotten the light bulb to go on. And I got that light bulb years ago, but that I am responsible for causing my well-being, whether it's to my body or whether it's to my mind. I get it. I get that I'm wired for that. And it puts me in a position of being in control. Because when you're responsible for everything that occurs, when you the way you perceive everything, you get a real sense that you're in control. And it's a very powerful experience to have when you get that. All of a sudden, as someone has a problem and is very unkind and very sad and very miserable and everything else. And sometimes in the past, I might have been connected to that and almost feel guilty that I somehow participated in that, and recognize now that that's someone who's going through a problem, has a problem, needs to be understood, where I might have not done that before. So it is this new relationship that that by just getting that we are wired for being able to cause our well-being, it's an extremely powerful position. So can kindness extend your life?
Well, there is this whole beautiful book called The Rabbit Effect. I don't know if you can
Okay,
see.
unfortunately,
It's blending. Anyway, it's called The Rabbit Effect. It's
hold it in front, hold it in front of you rather than to the side. Oh yeah, you see somehow the blue screen is taking that. I can't see a thing on it.
Okay. Well, regardless, it's called The Rabbit Effect. It's by Kelly Harding. She's an MD and an MPH, and she has an entire 200 pages of data around how kindness can help you and how it can actually extend your life. I have one study in my book that talks about volunteers, and
Yes.
people who volunteer with an altruistic motive actually seem to have prolonged life. In studies that they've looked
Wonderful.
at collectively. But intuitively, we know that. And I think what you were
Yes.
saying earlier is we are absolutely wired to control our own lives and also wired for kindness, and it feels good. And anything that we do that feels good, we know is extending our life. So
Yeah.
when we go out and we exercise and we feel good, or we sit down and we have a beautiful meal of all healthy organic food and we feel good, we know that these things are extending our lives, and we know how important human connection is. And right now, one of the many reasons that we're really suffering in this pandemic is because we're isolated. And isolation is the flip side of the kindness coin. And it's a very, very painful spot for people.
Yeah.
And that's why we've had so much suffering, so much distress, so much divisiveness in, our country and in the world over the last year, because again, man is meant to be in groups. We're meant to care for one another. And that is human nature, humankind.
Yeah, that gets me to the next question, which I think is a fairly large, is a big question. It's a topic all unto itself. There is a large part of our population that feels that their country, their family or relationship have been unkind to them. How do you deal with a family member that is always angry and blames everyone and everything that is doing it to them? They're acting as a victim all the time. How do you deal it from all of a sudden having this knowledge that you are responsible and that that you can understand someone is maybe living in with a victim operating system where you might be living in more of an awareness, what I call a satisfaction operating system. How do you deal with folks? How do you get to that place? It is a big problem with the mental health issues that are going on in this country about that.
Well, I like to call that syndrome that you're talking about sort of the woe is me.
Yes.
And it's really the exact opposite of what you're trying to do. And what you're trying to do is help people feel self-actualized.
That's
and
right.
help them feel like they're in control of their life and their destiny and their health and their happiness. That's really the ultimate place that we want humans to be, to feel like no matter what happens, we're in control of our responses to it, and we can have a good life almost independent of the circumstances. And we've certainly seen really powerful examples of people going through a pandemic and yet still feeling very happy, very satisfied, very in control, very productive and thriving. So we know that everybody is responding to this particular stress in a very different way. For those people that are not adapting well, but what I mean by that is that sort of woe is me, that I'm unhappy, there's nothing I can do about that, things are happening to me. That is a fairly unevolved way of seeing things. And it's hard to change other people. If somebody walks into my office and I'm a psychiatrist or a therapist, they're then showing up to try to embark on that process. If you're just a friend or a family member, it can be quite difficult to get somebody to change. But you want to be compassionate and try to understand, why is it they're suffering? Why are they in that place? And is there anything that you can do to help them? People feel very distressed when they're under chronic financial pressure, when they're under physical pressure, when they're not sleeping well, when they're using a substance abuse that's altering their mood. So looking for some of those underlying causes can help you have some sense of how you can best help this person.
Excellent advice.
Sometimes we can't help everybody, and
Right.
that's very sad, but we have to take control of our life, and we have to separate from that person if that person is causing a deterioration in our own mental health. And I see that a lot in couples, and I see that a lot in the workplace when they're just really unbalanced in terms of mental health and the way they view the world, and the relationship is dragging one person down. Ultimately, sometimes you can help them, but you can always help yourself. And you might have to actually step out of that relationship if a person is really stuck in that space, and not go down with the ship, so to speak.
Got it. Yeah, it's a great answer and great advice. I think that's terrific. Uh, a big problem for the new president that we have is how to unite our country, how to bring us together. I think that's. What do you think President Biden should do to help connect us?
Well, I'm actually quite optimistic, because I think, life is in a pendulum. And I
Yes,
think that what we've seen over the last 4/5 years is a pendulum swing to one direction, which is, us versus them.
yes,
I don't think that Donald Trump created that. I personally believe that that was created by the internet and our brains just having way too much knowledge to assimilate. And so we went to very simplistic answers, black, white, us, them, good, evil. And Donald Trump rode that wave because that's the way he speaks. He speaks in simplistic black and white, good versus evil terms. I think we've had enough of that after 4 years. And I
right.
think the pendulum naturally is swinging back the other way. And I think the fact that the vaccines are coming right now is a sign that's very hopeful. And I think what we can all do is really important, which is stop that simplistic thinking, stop that blame game, like you were
Yeah,
just talking about, stop the woe is me, and start to focus on how fortunate we are. We are getting a vaccine. We did not get COVID. We have a roof over our head. We're able to find
excellent.
about 7.7 billion people. We have to feel empowered. And
Yes,
my view, of course, since I'm a kindness doctor, is we need to start treating others the way we want to treat ourselves. And
yes,
it's okay to have differing opinions, but we have to listen to them respectfully. We
yes,
have to stop name calling. We have to stop blaming. We have to understand that we are all part of humankind. We
yes,
can't see this as an us versus them. We have to see this reality for what it is, which is we are literally all in it together. The health of one of us impacts the health of all of us. And if the pandemic didn't teach you that, I don't know what is going to. So
yeah,
I personally feel very hopeful that the pendulum is swinging the other way. We're recognizing that we're all part of humankind, and we need to take steps forward to take care of our own individual health through the vaccines, through improved health insurance, through access to care. We need to take care of the planet because this is our only one. And it's up to each of us to take responsibility for taking care of the planet. And we need leaders that share those kind of values. And I
excellent.
think that we have that leadership now. And I so far really admire Joe Biden for what he's been able to do to win this election and to lead, as he said, from a place of unity
Yeah,
and
I
focus
think that
on
that's the,
the pandemic.
I think you're hitting it right on the head. It's people to understand that every human being matters.
That's correct.
That for them to realize how special how special they are in the context of the universe, that we have the capacity to be able to create. We have the capacity to create our futures. And nothing else can do that out there. We're right at the top. And for us to understand that is for us to get that we truly, truly matter. And all we have to do is evolve just a bit more to that place of where we understand that we don't need to threaten ourselves. We don't need to be bigger or better. And that we also have to be aware that our evolvement from our birth may have had some situations that has allowed us to feel victimized, to feel that. But to be aware of that is the beginning of the change that one needs to happen. And, folks like yourself, professionals like yourself are so helpful, so important to that cause of making a contribution to the betterment of the human condition. And I think everyone can step to the plate and embrace that possibility to do that.
And I think one thing that you said there was really important, Lou, which is we all hit bumps on the road. And I think one of the gifts of this pandemic is recognizing that everybody struggles with mental health. I don't think there's a human on the planet who didn't feel anxious or depressed or overly fearful or paranoid or suspicious or angry this year to an excessive state. Therefore, mental illness is no longer something that happens to your neighbor. It's something that happens to each of us. Yeah. And if each of us could be responsible for that awareness and then for flipping the coin over and trying to achieve our own mental health, then we're definitely going to come out of this pandemic far stronger than we went into it. Right. And I think there's been a real stigma associated with mental health and seeking help. And I hope to, remove that. And I think what you're doing is really important. I am a psychiatrist. Some people may have never met a psychiatrist. I hope that I'm not scary. And
you are not scary.
There's a lot of ways to access mental health treatment that weren't available before the pandemic. So right. Listeners out there who are suffering, and it's understandable to be suffering through this, reach out to people, go online, find out where the mental health resources are in your community and talk to somebody, because it's an opportunity for growth. One of the phrases that I really dislike, but I have to agree with it, is what doesn't break us makes us stronger.
Yes.
You break a bone, you will, recalcify, and that particular spot will be stronger than previously. But the same is also true in life. In the areas in which we're weak, we tend to get strong. If you saw Amanda Gorman at the inauguration, that beautiful young poet laureate, she had learning differences. And she had difficulty articulating herself and had to have extra support. See that? And now, my God, what a superstar she has turned into.
She was, for sure. Tell us a bit about a project that you have such joy about, and that makes you feel what a contributor you are. And I'm sure all of your chemicals are going crazy because you're actually contributing. You're talking the walk.
Yes.
Or walking the talk.
That's right. That's
right. And you're doing it. So tell us a bit about the Bold Beauty Project.
Thank you, Lou. And listeners can check us out at boldbeautyproject.com. I'm the co-founder of this project. I had to laugh when you say that it brings me joy, because I do this project because of my daughter, whose name is Joy.
That's right.
Exactly 30 years and 3 days ago. And when she was 5 months old, we found out that she had a brain injury that led to weakness on one half of her body. And she had seizures after that, which led to surgery, which led to further deficits. So she grew up being what she likes to call differently abled, not disabled, because she's differently abled. Because she had limitations from birth, she's had to learn other skills to compensate. So she's a very intuitive, very sensitive, very creative, very compassionate, caring person. And so our emphasis is on her different abilities, not on a disability. Back in 2015, I met a very extraordinary woman named Shelley Baer, and Shelley and I together founded the Bold Beauty Project, which is, as you said in my introduction, a project where we take women with varying disabilities, pair them with volunteer photographers, And then we create art exhibits, and those exhibits are online now, so anybody can go see them. And they're very powerful because each image is a collaborative effort of our photographer and our model. And so each one is unique and different.
They are
And
so beautiful. They
thank
are
you.
so beautiful.
We're super proud of our work. And as you say, it does release happy chemicals for us, for the models, for the photographers.
Sure.
The idea is to give the model a transformative experience and allow her to see herself in her most bold and beautiful way, and then to have the audience respond to that. And for some people with different abilities, it's harder to compete in this world and to be seen and to be heard. So we feel like we're giving them a powerful way to communicate. And then they share their biography. And these women are extraordinary. And then you can understand that they are not disabled, they're differently abled. And people that I have met in that community tend to be more interesting, more inspiring, and more motivated than people who haven't had a lot of challenges. And it's just like we talked about with the bone, where you break oftentimes become a lot stronger. So we're really proud to get people to know these extraordinary women. We're proud of our photographers who volunteer their time. Some of them have told us it's the most meaningful photo shoot of their life because it's really out of the box and it can be very challenging for them.
Yes.
And our audience, I think, benefits by reading about the challenges of these women. And I know for myself, it's really helped me to stop sweating the small stuff. When I think about these extraordinary women and what they have to go through just on a day-to-day basis to sort of catch up to what we all take for granted. We fly out of bed in the morning and we see everything and we smell everything and we're, complaining because, the coffee wasn't hot enough or there was traffic. And then you think that there's somebody else who can't even get out of bed until somebody helps them. And it just gives you a bigger and broader perspective.
Do you have something planned in the future? Redoing, having another exhibit?
We have been doing in-person exhibits around the country, and our first international one was in Panama in December. So we're really eager to get back to that because there is nothing like that human interaction. In the meantime, we're doing the best we can, and we are going to launch a virtual gallery in March. So I will share that information with you when we launch that. But in the meantime, go to our website, check out the women, see their images. There are videos on there that people can watch. And if anybody is moved or inspired to become part of the project, please reach out to us, send me an email, get to with us on our website, because this is a project where our desire is to touch as many lives as we possibly can.
Once again, we go back to this effort. As I volunteer and I know that the importance of recognizing and understanding, we do things unconditionally, and we understand that we do it unconditionally in our volunteer effort, but having to know that you are benefiting in your act of contribution and caring for others, extending your life, feeling happy and joyful, living your life more so on the good side of things rather than the dark side of things. So
it's purpose. It gives you a big sense of purpose.
Exactly. It gives you a wonderful purpose, some clarity about this is what your life could be. No matter what, you will experience joy, love, and satisfaction, something that we all strive for. And your project has that opportunity for people, whether they contribute monetarily or whether they contribute from a volunteer maybe point of view, or maybe they have specific ideas they can bring to the table. It's their participation, their involvement with you that they benefit from. And they should really understand and consider that. Now, once that's said, the joy that comes out of giving, it'll be obvious. You'll see how it works for themselves. But so for that,
they call that giver's gain or helper's high.
Yeah,
when you go and you spend a few hours volunteering, you feel so good. You can feel those chemicals you.
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
been difficult because people can't volunteer in typical ways. And so for me, this has been a very difficult year because I do rely on the Bold Beauty Project to bring me literally joy, and satisfaction and purpose and
Excellent.
connection. But
Excellent.
many of the models that I've met through that and the photographers have become my close friends, and they've really, helped me. And I hope that I've helped them get through this really isolating time.
Gotcha. Well, this has been informative. I'm so happy that I've met you.
Thank
The
you.
information about your book will be on Cattaruzza.com as well. This is the book for you to take a look, folks. If you go to Amazon and click on Be Kinder, the DR, Be
Yeah.
Kinder, and you will be able to enjoy the wonderful stories that are in here that really talk about people's experience from kindness. But more, as importantly, I should say, is the facts. Some of the facts that are really relevant and that you should understand will make all this a lot clearer for you. So if you want to provide your URL, by the way, do you have a URL, Eva?
It's simple. It's just bekinder.com. And
BeKinder.com.
the idea with the stories, Lou, is that
Yes.
kindness spreads, like you talked about at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
When you do something kind, you feel good and you're inspired to do more kindness. So the
Right.
idea with the stories is to keep this book around, and anytime you need like a little mental boost, to just open it up to any page and then go ahead and read
Oh,
a
that's great.
story
Yeah,
that
yeah.
will help you refocus your mind. I just
Very
got a
good.
phone call from Patricia Stauber in New York, who's the co-founder of the Be Kinder Global Initiative. And that's just
Excellent.
to inspire people to be kinder to others. But right now in a pandemic, kindness can be to yourself.
Gotcha.
Sleep right, eat right, listen to soft music,
Yeah.
hug a pet,
Con-
get a
Contribute,
gravity blanket, get
contribute
a
to
hug for
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
So having said that, I think we're going to probably have lots of other podcasts in the future, and we could really catch up on the projects and what you're doing. And I'm sure that we're going to be doing a lot of things. I enjoyed this evening. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
and I will now figure out how to stop our recording.
One small interesting thing is being in nature is also very calming. And so I think one thing that was really nice was seeing your ocean waves behind you. And that's
Oh
just a very
yes.
simple
Oh, yeah.
kindness thing that people can do, is take a moment to be in nature. And if you can't be in nature, you can trick your brain just by doing what we did and feeling like you're amongst the grass or on the ocean. So I feel good from our time together. I appreciate the kind act of showing me those waves for the last hour.
So I had an event yesterday that I said because I was Brother Claus yesterday, and
Oh, now I get that now that I see you.
so I was Brother Claus yesterday, and I had my other background, which is let me see if I can find it for you.
I like this one.
We've stopped recording, by the way. It's